Virgo, I'm going to have a look at your astrology for June 2015. I'm not going to pull a card for you this month. I'm going to go into more depth in terms of the astrological influences. So I will spend a little bit more time today. I'll spend a little bit longer with you because I want to have a look at the aspects, how the planets are really interacting, and they create quite a complex kind of interplay of energies. And I just want to give you a much more rounded overview of that, so that you then have a more rounded overview of what you can expect for June. So I'm going to get started. The first thing that's quite significant is the full moon happening on the 2nd of June. And that happens in your 4th house in Sagittarius. And it's in the midst of a grand trine. So it's going to feel like quite a chaotic time for you, I think, Virgo. First of all, the full moon is a blossoming. It's kind of shining the light on something. And it's in the sector of your family, and it gives you an insight into how to move forward with your family. Being true to yourself, having relationships the way you want to have them, but not bending over and saying, whatever you want, I will just compromise myself and follow your lead, and you set the tone. I think you've done that long enough, and I don't think you're particularly pro-conflict. But I think what you do during this full moon period is you have quite a complicated view of things. You want your relationships to be better with your family. You want to maintain those good relationships, but you also want to stand up for yourself. And it's going to be a balancing act between getting firm and setting boundaries, while not going overboard and telling people, I don't like the way you do that, you stop doing it and do it my way. So that's going to be a theme at the beginning of the month. And the thing that complicates that a little bit is that Venus goes into Leo on the 6th of June in your 12th house. Now, Venus is the goddess of love. Leo is the sign of really shining and being warm and confident and part of a community, part of a crowd. And that's in your 12th house of other people and doing selfless service, okay? So I think when you're trying to assert yourself, or when you're in a family situation, especially around the 6th, there's going to be a tendency for you to seek the high road and to say, well, if she wants it that way and if she can't let go of it, then who cares? I'll just let it go, you know, and I'll just kind of conform and just keep the peace and just let them think they're doing the right thing and just go with that. And okay, that will keep the peace, but really, if it has negative, if it has a negative impact on you, then I would really urge you to put some boundaries in place and not to completely, you know, abandon your own values and beliefs just for the sake of keeping peace. So it is a kind of tightrope that you're going to be walking. Please be aware of that tendency. But that said, I really don't see anyone taking advantage of you or anything like that. I just see you kind of being a little bit too willing to let go of your own opinions and your own beliefs. Now, Jupiter sextiles Mars for 2 weeks, between the 31st of May and the 11th of June. So pretty much the first 2 weeks of June, okay? And Jupiter is the lucky planet of good fortune. Mars is the warrior planet of, he's the soldier, what I want. And when they're in sextile, they kind of work together harmoniously, and they, it's like they're holding hands, okay? Jupiter and Mars are holding hands for those 2 weeks and skipping down the road. And Jupiter is in the 12th, about helping others, and Mars is in your 10th house of career. So I think, whereas being so nice and being of service in your family may be a little bit of an issue, in terms of your work it's going to be really helpful, because it's going to give you an idea that will help you progress. And by thinking of the group, people will see that and will acknowledge you as a team player and will value your contribution. But really, your attitude for work is really, really excellent, because you're not self-centered. I think you're communicating very well. You have good ideas that help the team you work in or help your community. I think you're excellent at actually executing that idea and those things that you're working on, and you're driven to succeed. And you have Jupiter overseeing all of that and sprinkling his little dust of good luck all over it and saying, have fun with your career. So the first 2 weeks of June are going to be excellent in terms of getting new ideas going in your work. And often, you know, the summer isn't seen as being super productive for people because people are on holiday, and sometimes business tends to slow down, but not for you, Virgo. You're going to get real ideas, and this is like January the 1st for you, where you can really create some wonderful new projects, new colleagues, new customers. But the key word here is new, and having the ideas to bring new things in and to increase your business and to increase your career path. So maybe that you meet someone new and you could go work for their company. It's that kind of thing. It's a new beginning in terms of taking you from where you are now into something better. Saturn trines Venus for the same 2 weeks, but they are in trine until the 12th of June, so 1 day longer. And a trine is similar to a sextile. It's a harmonious kind of light aspect. It's when two planets are 120 degrees apart. And this really gives some structure to your feelings, okay? So I mentioned earlier, be careful of being too permissive and abandoning your own beliefs. That's not going to be such a problem as much as I thought, because Saturn gives extra structure to your love, to what you care about. It makes it firm and unshakable. So it may be that you're caring and you want to keep the peace, but you're not going to abandon and change your mind about anything. So it may just be that you don't speak up, but you're not going to be swayed. So don't worry about kind of losing your sense of identity or something like that. It won't happen, because Saturn is rock solid. And at the same time, Saturn is sitting right on top of your IC, which represents your roots, your family. And your family members are also rock solid. So people may be butting heads. I really don't see anyone changing their beliefs, their views, or their way of doing things very much in June for you, Virgo. And I think people are pretty much on their own journey. And if you're trying to be a missionary or a savior or to alter people's opinions and beliefs, you're going to have a tough time in June. Because Saturn is just like, I mean, it's like a, you know, you can't move it. It's like a rock. Poof, just sits there. Mercury comes out of retrograde on the 12th of June, which is always good news for you, Virgo, because Mercury is your ruler. And he's been sitting in your 10th house. And so that Jupiter trine sextile ends. And now, yeah, so the Jupiter's almost been mitigating the retrograde for you, because Jupiter's good luck factor has been pushing Mercury along a little bit while it's retrograde, meaning that your work has been doing really well. Now, Jupiter stops overseeing that on the 12th, on the 11th, and then Mercury comes out of retrograde on the 12th, so the day after. So whereas Jupiter was helping out, it doesn't need to anymore, because Jupiter is moving forward again, and your own communication takes over, and you become much more, your ideas flow even faster. So June is an ideas month for you, and Venus now starts to sextile Mercury as well. So you love what you do and you love people. So if you're trying to get some new ideas going at work, always think of, how can this help someone? How can I add value to other people's life? How can I help another person overcome something? How can I enrich the experience of another person? If you think along the idea or the lines of service, how can this benefit another human being, then it'll be a success. If you're thinking of, how can this benefit me and how can I make money with it, not so much. It's about other people and adding value for other people. Now, some of the outer planets, the kind of big old men here, are doing something this month in June as well. And Pluto has been in a square aspect to Uranus since March 2012. Pluto is rebirth, Uranus is rebellion and miracles and the unexpected. And they have been really going at it for 3 years, pretty much, more than 3 years. And what that has meant for you, Virgo, is that you've been on a kind of mission to really find what it is you're looking for in terms of your love life. I think for you, Virgo, you're very much able to compromise your romantic side. And please don't take this the wrong way. This is really what I'm seeing in terms of the chart. But you are a practical sign. Okay, I mean, we all know that. There's no getting around that. You are practical. And if if you don't have, if you lose a leg in a war, you're not going to whinge about it very long. You will get a prosthesis and you will get on with your life, and you're not going to whinge about it, and you'll keep working. You're practical that way. But that also applies to your relationships, okay? And Virgo, you can marry for money. You can settle for someone who you know isn't your ideal soulmate, because that person could bring you security, or it could stop the search, dating, which can be a pain in the butt. And you can compromise yourself that way. And I think for the last couple of years, there's been a pull for you to really get a little bit more discerning, Virgo word discerning there, about real love, real romance. Are you going to settle, or are you going to find something new? And I think that question now comes to an end, and I think there have been some changes in your life over the last couple of years where you've said, okay, this has become a theme. Am I going to continue choosing to be in relationships for the sake of what they can offer me on a practical level, or because they genuinely feel right? And that square comes to an end. It returns later on in a couple of weeks, months, because these planets are very slow, so they're just going away from each other and then they're coming back together and squaring again. But you get a break from it now, and it's almost like you don't have to, you can relax a little bit. You can kind of say, okay, well, that's a theme that I'm working on. You know, it's progress, not perfection. We've all got things to work on, but at least I can relax and chill out for a couple of weeks. Another one of the outer planets, Saturn, moves into Scorpio for 3 months over the summer. I did a video on this separately, have a look at that, but Saturn is very, very, very slow, okay? And on the 24th of December 2014, it moved into Sagittarius. And it will stay in Sagittarius for the better part of 3 years. It'll stay there till the 17th, I think, I'm pretty sure, 17th of December 2017. So it stays there for 3 years. But it retrogrades now over the summer between the 15th of June and the 18th of September. Excuse me. And it goes back into Scorpio. And what that does is it puts the brakes on the darker side of the emotions for you. And for you, that manifests itself as being self-critical, as that voice that you're not good enough. And that kind of becomes more quiet. It's like it's in the next room now. You're not actively hearing it. It's going to calm down. If you want to, you can deliberately engage with that voice now and make some inroads with it and really do affirmations and look at the negative beliefs that really hinder you and hold you back. Only if you want to. I think the tendency is going to be to have a nice summer and to say, oh, thank God, there's peace and quiet. We all know that voice is usually there. I mean, it's the ego, basically. We all have one. But you're going to get a break from it this summer. So I would suggest, I don't know, this is your choice, but I think for me personally, I'm going to take the time off and enjoy myself. Okay. The new moon happens on the 16th, and the new moon is, oh wow, it's happening, your Mars is in the middle, and your new moon is happening around it. So Mars is desire, what I want. The new moon is like a regroup. It's like looking at what am I going to do? What do I want to achieve? They're all in Gemini, so it's about what do I want to find out? What do I want to share? What do I want to move? What do I want to talk about? And how can I move things forward? Especially in terms of my ideas. Education I'm getting for you. I think you're going to want to educate yourself in your work. And I think you're going to say, how can I build my skills so that I'm an expert? I think that's going to be a big question for you. Now, Venus is in another aspect now at the end of the month. And Venus has been all over the place this month, as I've mentioned her quite a couple of times with Saturn, with Mercury. Now with Jupiter, she conjuncts Jupiter on the 17th of June, and it stays in conjunction with Jupiter until the 14th of August. It's in your 12th house of spirituality of other people in Leo. Jupiter is good luck, Venus is love. You will love, other people and spiritual. I think it's not so much spirituality in itself, but it's your relationship with spirit. I think, you know, you can either see yourself as believing in a God that is punishing and resentful. You sin, you go to hell. If you're a little bit more, you know, enlightened, you can start to see yourself as a partner with God. Then you can see yourself as a child of God with special kind of benefits. And then when you get to the end of the road, really, in your spiritual path, you see yourself as a lover of God. You don't just see God as something that you have to resort to when things are tough, but you start to genuinely love God, and when you look around, you see God in everything. And Jupiter and Venus, it brings about that love for the spiritual. It brings about that love for the creator, the universe. And for you, Virgo, that always brings about huge and wonderful practical benefits and side effects, because you don't tend to connect with spirituality as much as you ought to, because you're often very, very busy. So June to August is going to be a great time for you spiritually. Go on that retreat, do that new meditation course, go on a pilgrimage. It'll be awesome for you. You will fall in love with God, and there's no better person to fall in love with, because God will never cheat on you or demand sex all the time or eat your ham or whatever. Okay. So really, it's a good time for spirituality, really. The other thing that Jupiter does is it goes into a trine with Uranus, and it's been doing that for a while actually. It's been in that trine since March, and it ends on the 22nd of June. So that has been about finding your place within the lives of other people, and really seeing what it is I can contribute and what value can I add. And that comes to an end now, because I really think you get the answer around the end of June. You really find what it is you want to communicate, what you want to add, and I think you put that into practice. Now, the month ends with Mars going into Cancer in your 11th house. And I think you may get a little bit soppy with this, Virgo. I think you may feel a little bit self-pitying at the end of the month and say, oh, you know, like that. Just watch out for that. The way to resolve that is to go into gratitude mode. And what you've got going on here with your spiritual practice, focus on that instead. That will really mitigate that Mars, and that will prevent you from going into self-pity. The best way to stay out of self-pity is to be grateful and to connect with something greater than yourself, because it gets you out of yourself and out of your own negative feelings. So that's it. I hope you found that useful. If you'd like a private reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. Send me an email. The address is readings@gregoryscott.co.uk. Or you can also find me on Facebook, facebook.com/GregoryScott444. And please remember to subscribe to the channel. Have a fabulous June, and I'll speak to you soon.